Hello and welcome to another Den of Iniquity. I'm Giz, and this week, take a chance. I'm going to avoid singing the song because, oh crap, it's stuck in my head. Hang on. Thank you for whom the bell tolls. Anyway, sorry. A conversation was had basically earlier today between myself and Greenie about the fact that a lot of horror films nowadays, the mainstream stuff, it's like they're kind of working on the same old formula. Greenie made the valid points that, we're just seeing bajillions of remakes and guys practically remaking their own stuff. And you know me, I'm all on board for that kind of talk. However, my counterpoint was that, while he didn't feel that Hollywood mainstream was taking that many chances the way that they might have done with stuff we say in the 80s, my counterpoint to that was, well, look at the independent circuit and the fact that, a lot of independent filmmakers, the only thing they can do when it comes to stories to set them apart is to take a chance. And when they do, sometimes they get snapped up. Being snapped up isn't always the best thing to happen to them because, the gods know stuff gets altered and chopped and changed and ground into dust. But, it is unfair to say that Hollywood is relying solely on remakes. That being said, take a fucking chance every now and then, you goddamn gits! I mean, don't get me wrong, as I said, you look into the odd independent film every now and then and, you rip them off and maybe you pay them a good chunk of change and maybe once in a blue moon, the guys that made the original are actually involved in their big screen budget film. And when they are, odds are that thing is a fucking success. Now, when it comes down to it, what taking a chance means is not just looking at people outside of the circle of networking crews or whatever the fuck you use, in Hollywood when you're going to make a film. I mean, not just looking outside that. I mean also looking at stories that make you kind of go, wow, that's weird. Wow, that's bizarre. If it makes you kind of go, what the fuck? Then maybe you should consider making it. Or at the very least, work around the idea of how it might play out. Because you never know when you might actually have something cool. As opposed to, well, that idea worked before, so let's just turn it around a little bit, repaint it, cast in a whole new crew, shoot it in a different light, give it a catchy soundtrack, throw it at people, and pray they don't remember the fucking originals. I've been saying this kind of stuff before, so I'm going to try not to slip into that particular rant. We're going to keep it on the notion of looking outside your comfort zones here, because that's what it's really all about. And it's true, the mid-80s and the late 80s, the 80s gave us a lot of crap, it did. But it also gave us a lot of outside-the-box thinking. And that outside-the-box thinking influenced a lot of awesome stuff that happened later on. And while we can't exactly say that it put the originals on the map, it certainly garnered them cult followings that, perhaps in later years saw royalties being backpaid or whatever else. But the point is that these stories that took the chance, whether they were the ones that actually made it or merely influenced things that made it, it was all about risking things and doing what has not been done before. Speaking of which, and it kind of segued into it with our conversation, getting back to the independent filming, we've often spoke here in the EGS about how we love to promote Irish films, particularly ones made in Munster. Hey, anything made in Limerick is going to get us kind of taking up and sitting notice because, hey, that's where we're from. And something that happened in Limerick that we feel the rest of the world, and by that we mean, those of you that are watching us in America or wherever else you're crazy enough to catch this stuff. If you're interested, if it piques your notice, if you've been looking at Ireland and kind of going, I wouldn't mind making a film there, well, guess what? Limerick has decided to actually do something intelligent for once. It seems one of the old industrial estates, the Raheen Industrial Estate, and the old Dell building, a massive building which supported, let's not joke around here, that place practically supported Limerick for like a decade and a half before getting shut down. Here is a chance for a massive building that has been practically left go to be revitalised, and Limerick City is basically saying, hey, filmmakers, come get it, come apply. So any of you that are thinking about making horror films or any kind of film really, and are interested in doing it in Ireland and Limerick, now is your chance. Now is an ideal spot. Go look up the old Dell building in the Raheen Industrial Estate in Limerick. Find out. I'm not going to lie. I haven't done the research. I've really only heard about it in the last few hours but go look it up. Find out who it is you have to apply to. There might be grants there. There probably is. I mean, the gods know Limerick could, that whole city of culture thing. But I doubt, we're getting away we're getting away from a whole other heap of steaming worms that got trodden into dust. As I was saying, if you're interested in doing a film in this country, if you're interested in doing a film in this city, and there are people in this city doing films, I mean, one company I can think of bounds to mind, I mean, they even went along and they got themselves one or two famous actresses to do stuff in their films. So stepped in the right direction. But, come along, check it out. You never know, you might actually be able to take a chance on doing something new in somewhere new and actually make a hit. Like I was kind of saying a while ago, outside the box thinking. Outside the box, not just in terms of stories, not just in terms of how stuff is done, but in terms of who you approach to do it, how you get their vision across, where you do it, where it might be possible to do stuff. Hell, you could do amazing things on shoestring budgets. Maybe, probably. It's been done before. Just imagine what can happen if you actually decide to fund stuff properly with big budgets. I think in a day and age where, the fringe is no longer the fringe, where all of us that existed on the outside for so long are now getting grabbed and pulled, whether we want it or not, into mainstream stuff. Now is the ideal opportunity to stop and go, okay, we have this mainstream following, we have all this mainstream stuff. Now, rather than piss it away by regurgitating everything that's come before, let's look outside. Let's take a chance. Yeah, there's going to be some God's unknown cock-ups, but you're going to get some hits, and you're going to get some cult following, and you might get that unattainable thing that has slipped away from you for so long, and that is a little bit of fucking respect for what you're doing. Because let's face it, the shite that's been coming out recently in the last few decades, and let's not lie, there's been some shite. I don't know about you, but I don't respect a lot of the mainstream stuff that comes out because it's just the same thing we've seen before, repackaged, shoved in our faces, and you don't respect our opinions by shoving it in our faces and wondering why the fuck you're not making a profit. You want a profit? You want to make something? You want our respect? Take a fucking chance. End of discussion.
Enjoy our videos. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and visit us at www.emorgorsociety.com.